Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, October 28th, 2015. Over the past 7 days, it's been pretty dry across much of the Great Basin with the exception of southeastern Utah. You can see that portions of southeastern Utah saw around an inch to an inch and a half of rain over the past week, and that is above normal for that area, but the rest of the Great Basin is generally below normal over the past 7 days. The water vapor satellite shows a weather disturbance moving into the western part of the Great Basin, and that will continue to make its way eastward over the next few days and bring us some pretty unsettled weather. We'll be looking at cooler, wetter weather over the next few days. The ventilation index for this afternoon will be good to excellent across much of Nevada. However, across most of Utah and Idaho, we will see those poor to good values across much of the area. Looking in a little more detail, you can see this afternoon mixing heights are the highest across portions of Nevada. Really all except for western Nevada will see pretty good mixing heights and some decent transport winds, and so as a result that's why we are going to see the best ventilation index across Nevada due to those good mixing heights in advance of that approaching system. On Thursday, that low-pressure system will continue to make its way into the Great Basin, and you can see that the ventilation index does improve across Idaho and Utah as that system begins to make its way into the Great Basin. The white colors are where the ventilation index is excellent, and so you can see the greater area tomorrow will see those higher ventilation index values. And looking at more detail, the mixing heights will improve tomorrow. They will increase ahead of that system. And those increased mixing heights as well as some enhanced transport winds across much of the area will lead to the improved ventilation index on Thursday. Looking at Friday, that system will begin to make its way out of the area, and we will see that the ventilation index decreasing across western Nevada as we see a brief period of ridging. That ridging will lead to lower mixing heights. You can see how those values are lower across western Nevada on Friday. And so, as a result, we will see the decreased ventilation index on Friday. Taking a quick look at the Utah Forecast Clearing Index, you can see the day with the best clearing will be on Thursday. The clearing index is poor to fair across much of the area this afternoon, but it will be improving on Thursday as we see conditions improving ahead of that approaching system, and then decreasing a bit on Friday as that low-pressure system makes its way out of the area. Most of the Great Basin will see precipitation over the next few days as we see that low-pressure system making its way through the Great Basin. Moving into Saturday, we will see a brief period of high pressure leading to the poor to fair ventilation index values across much of southern Nevada and portions of Utah. But as we move into Sunday, we'll start to see winds increase ahead of a second weather system that will impact the Great Basin early next week. And so Utah and Nevada will see pretty excellent ventilation index values on Sunday with those lower values expected across portions of central and southern Idaho. On Monday, we'll continue to see winds increase ahead of that approaching system, and much of the area will see the generally good to excellent mixing and ventilation index on Monday. And finally, looking at Tuesday, you can see that those good ventilation index values continue into Tuesday as we have that system overhead. We will be looking at some pretty cool, unsettled weather early next week with that low-pressure system making its way into the Great Basin. The precipitation accumulation for days 4 and 5 will be mainly across portions of northern Utah and northern and central Nevada and much of Idaho, and that's just because this is a time period where that low-pressure system is starting to make its way into the northern part of the Great Basin. And finally, looking at the 8 to 14-day outlook, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for below normal temperatures across pretty much the entire Great Basin, with above average precipitation across the eastern portion of the Great Basin and below average precipitation across the western part of the Great Basin. So what this tells us is that we're going to stay in an unsettled pattern, and when we have these weather systems moving through, we will see periods of better mixing ahead of those systems with the increased transport winds and the improved mixing heights. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. Our contact information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter.